Hello.
Hi, can you see me? Can you hear
Yes, we
clearly?
can. I'm so glad that you have the
Sorry,
connectivity now.
yeah, it's the cyclone effect that the net.
Quite a few
So,
people joined in to listen to us, so let's get going.
yeah,
Welcome, everyone. I'm Sejal from Rare India, and we bring you our session with Neil today, which is in continuation with our Destination Discovery series. As you know, this week we are focusing on the Friends of the Forest, which are our treasured wildlife camps and jungle lodges. Our journey at Rare India actually began with choosing a few very carefully thought of partners whose experience and education and in conservation and wildlife tourism kind of led them to be our hero brands in the sense of the experience that they had. And what that meant was that we could advocate change, which was much needed in the wildlife circles of Indian tourism, which typically includes things like treading gently on the environment, engaging with local communities, and bringing different elements of the forest into the wildlife experience for visitors into the park. So our speaker today is Neil Gopte, and Neil is the general manager of Jamtara Wilderness Camp, which is in Pench. Neil has quite the background in wildlife. He has he's a graduate of the prestigious Wildlife Institute in Dehradun, where he worked for quite a number of years. And after that, he moved to WWF, I beg your pardon, for another few years, where he worked on different projects, which included tiger conservation. And then he also worked in Panna National Park. And about 15 odd years after doing research, he decided to cross over, so to speak, into the realm of wildlife tourism and became a lodge manager with Taj Safaris in Bandhavgarh and then in Kanha. And I think about 4 years ago, joined a Jamtara Wilderness Camp. So welcome again, Neil. I hope I've done justice to your introduction.
thank you so much.
And so please let's just get started by talking about Pench National Park. For many years, it was sort of a cousin of the main parks, Bandhavgarh and Kanha, where most tourists wanted to go. But it sort of earned its own stripes, so to speak, and now is one of the most sought after national parks in Madhya Pradesh to visit. So just tell us a little bit about the park. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajal, for inviting me to the show, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you talk about the wildlife destinations in Madhya Pradesh,
Sorry, Neil, could you speak a little louder, please?
if you talk about, can you hear clearly now?
Better. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So, if you talk about the wildlife destinations in Madhya Pradesh, it's always Kana and Bandhavgarh that comes to everyone's mind.
Right.
Pench has always been on like a backseat, and in fact, Pench has got its own beauty. It has got fantastic dry deciduous forest, very different habitat compared to Kana and Bandhavgarh, where you mostly get to see the sal forest.
Yes.
If you look at the fauna of the Pench National Park, more or less it's same what you get to see in Kana and Bandhavgarh. But the probability of tiger sightings, leopard sighting, and wild dogs are quite good in Pench.
Right.
Approach-wise, also it's quite easy and convenient because it's situated about 100 kilometers from city of Nagpur, which is well connected with most of the metros in of the country. And yes, when people talk about tiger sighting, it's always Kana and Bandhavgarh which comes to their mind. But last couple of years has been fantastic for Pench National Park as far as the tiger sighting is concerned. by chance, if you fail to see the tiger, then you also have an option to see leopard sighting, and wild dog sightings have been pretty good in Pench National Park, so that compensates.
But also, I think
And,
we need to move the narrative slightly away from the big cats alone. It's also about all the other animals in the forest. The wild dogs, for example, the birds of
Yes.
prey, and vultures. I had a wonderful sighting of vultures when I was in Pench the last time. So it's also about the other elements in the park.
That's true. About 75 square kilometer area of Pench Tiger Reserve goes under the submergence area of Totlado irrigation project, and that's how it has provided a huge water body. So it's not only the forest birds; we also get to see a lot of aquatic birds. So
Right.
bird fauna, it's very healthy. It's very rich for the Pench, and definitely, as you said, the vultures. There are at least 4 to 5 different species of vultures we get to see in winter.
Right.
And since it's very dry, deciduous, and open kind of forest, the visibility is excellent. It's not like other forests where the ground canopy is very dense, and once the animal they move into the forest, you lose them. But here, from
Absolutely.
100 meters, 150 meters, also you can see them. So visibility is pretty good.
Yes.
And for birds also, a lot of people come here to enjoy the forest.
Particularly to see birds. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we come to the camp in particular, Jamtara Wildnerss Camp. So I know it's quite popular as a place to stay, but still, would you please tell us a little bit about the camp, the design, some of the features, what sets you apart from other lodges in the park?
See, the location of Jamtara Wilderness Camp is quite unique in itself, I would say. We are located on the northwestern side of the park, where that's the only lodge.
Right.
And yeah, that's the only lodge on the northern side, you can say. And we have access to 2 gates, Jamtara and Karmajiri, from where we operate. And since that's the only lodge, there is no queuing of when
Vehicles.
you enter into the park. You have absolutely, you can say, initial hour and a half once you enter from the park gate. That in 1.5 hour you have to your own. And
Yes.
that sense of exclusivity is there. The route system is very relaxed. So there is no hush, when you enter and you want to enjoy the park.
Right.
Secondly, Jamtara, it's about 10 acres property with 10 luxurious tents, and we are surrounded by the buffer forest on 2 sides, whereas on the other side it's the village fields. There is no barricade between us and the buffer zone, so animal movement also quite frequently happens.
Okay.
The lodge is flanked by 2 streams, so we get to see a lot of movement on these stream beds also.
Right.
We have some camera traps set over there, so we get to see the activity who has come and gone at night when everyone was asleep. And we at times engage the guests also in setting above the camera traps. So that's also an activity for them. Other than that, we have about 8 to 9 different dining venues. So every night we try and change the dining facilities. That's just to provide a variety and in place as well as the menu, and break the monotony.
Yes, and I think the banyan tree setup, the drinks that you do just before dinner, I think that's quite an iconic aspect of staying in Jamtara with the beautiful
Yes,
lights
yes.
in the evening.
That's true, and I would say that we were blessed while setting up this lodge. We got this banyan tree which is more than 100 years old,
Yeah.
and when we looked at the tree itself, we couldn't think of any other place to host our cocktails.
Yes.
So most of our cocktail sessions they are hosted there, and after that, then we take the guests to their concerned dining venue, and then make them comfortable over there.
I also thought the design concept was pretty nice as well. The tents are very spacious. There's a sitting out. There's a little bit of a sit out as well. And you really feel like you're in the middle of a wild wilderness sort of area. those were the things that I remembered were there's this great sense of space while you're there.
Yes, all the tents are quite spacious, I would say. And while making these tents, one particular aspect that has been kept in mind is low footprint. When you talk about the carbon footprint, or
Yes.
when you talk about your leaving impact on the soil, we have just constructed platforms on which these tents have been erected. So 7 months of the year, these tents, they are there. Once we are closed, then we remove, dismantle all the tents, and then the land is given back to the wild. So it's like we are tenants for 7 months, and then we are off. So that's one thing. Other thing, in the main building or wherever, even on the flooring of the tents, whatever woodwork has been done,
Right.
that wood was purchased from the shipwrecking yard. So
Okay.
it's not like that fresh wood was cut, fresh trees were cut, and the wood was sourced. So all the wood mostly has been sourced from the shipwrecking yard. Other than that, the roof tiles, if you talk about the windows, if you talk about the doors, the furniture, most of the items have been sourced. So it's a kind of reuse of the existing items, and very little.
Which is, at times like this, it's so important to be conscious of building materials, conscious of reusing them. So it's a great idea to reuse materials like that in that fashion.
That's true. That's true. And also to maintain the sanctity of the area, we haven't kept any pathway lights also, because we know that animal movement happens. Animals need to have their privacy. So as in all the pathways, we keep the diesel lanterns. And
Yes.
once the guests they go back to the tents, then we remove the lanterns, and again it becomes a wilderness. Also, all our outdoor venues, not a single place where we have used any, you can say, artificial lights. It's all the lamps or diesel operated lanterns, or you can say the candles.
Yeah.
That
The lanterns create a very special atmosphere
Absolutely.
also,
It's an
right?
ambience.
You get the sense that you are in a rural setting, and it also gives beautiful light to the surrounding, to the area around the camp.
Correct.
So one of the more sort of unique features of your camp, which I don't think anybody yet has in India, is the famous star bed. So can you tell us a little bit about it? I'm sure our listeners would like to hear more about it.
Yes, this concept of star bed came into mind when we looked at the people residing in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, in central India and most of the country where you have this forest, the farms situated on the edge of the forest. The villagers, they need to make a makeshift machan, high-rise platforms, which
Right.
are called as machan, where they sit at night and to protect their crops. So taking clue from that, this star bed was created, which is about 20-25 feet high, and on which very comfortable double bed is kept with mosquito net, and it is located on the edge of the forest in a neighboring field.
Right.
So if you the guests sleep on that star bed, they can listen to the hooting calls of the owls, or maybe the chuckling sounds of nightjars, or if the resident predator is on the prowl, then they hear the
Sighting.
call of leopard also. Yes, quite common. Also, the alarm calls, spotted deer alarm calls, langur. I know langurs, many people will think they can't see at night, but yes, you get to hear the alarm call as and when the predator is on the prowl. And since there is no light pollution, no haze pollution, winters we have very clear sky, you get to see fantastic view of the sky.
Yeah. I bet it's a stunning view of the sky at night, especially
Yes,
when there's
yes.
not a lot of light around. In the cities,
Yes.
we don't see skies like that anymore. So
Absolutely. I'm telling you, at times the sky is filled with so many stars that even common constellations and common stars, it's difficult to pick them up at times. I mean, you need to really concentrate at times.
okay.
So it's a kind of no, it's a dream kind of situation for anybody who really want to enjoy the stargazing. That's
wonderful.
a place.
Yeah.
And whatever revenue, of course, that's on the chargeable basis, because whatever revenue we earn, we share that revenue with the farmer in whose land the starbed is situated.
Okay.
See, the idea is that corner of the field where the starbed has been raised, it's of no use for him, because he knows that if he plant anything there, the crop will be eaten up by the herbivores. So
Right.
it's a piece of land which is of no use for him. So we thought of raising this temporary structure in the form of a starbed, where we can provide some facility to our.
So, and it's also additional revenue for the farmer as well. So, you know,
So
we
you got some
often
revenue
talk
out.
about giving back to the local communities in rural areas like this, and that is one way of perhaps ensuring that the local community is involved. So it's a sense of pride for them that the
Right.
lodge is associated with them as well. So that's
Yes.
quite interesting.
Yeah, and also most of our sourcing is also done locally. Most
Yeah.
of our vegetables, and we make sure that we buy it locally. We every week, every day there is one weekly market.
Right.
Say about 7 to 10 kilometer radius. So you just go and pick up fresh vegetables. Why do you want to go all the way to big town and pick
Yeah.
up? So the local economy also gets some.
And Jamtara is actually an agricultural village. The main occupation of the people is agriculture, isn't it? Is it fair to say so?
Yes, I would say the situation of Jamtara, that is surrounded by forests on all the sides.
Okay.
On two sides it is surrounded by the national park, or whereas on the remaining sides it's surrounded by the forest.
Right.
And there are three the different kind of communities which live there. One is the Gauli community, which is mostly the pastoralist and agrarian community. The others are the tribal communities, and the third ones are the OBCs. But majority of them, they rely on the agriculture as their main sustenance.
What do
And
they
the
grow?
rest of the time,
What do
they
they?
mostly, the first major crop in the monsoon season is the maize, the corn.
Okay.
So that lasts till the corn crop is harvested by November, and after that then they go for the wheat crop, wheat or some millets, or sometimes
Okay.
they grow green pea and other stuff. So
Right.
these two crops they grow, and then third season there is absolutely nothing, because of course lack of water is one thing. So they either rely on the forest-based the labor-oriented ones, or the Manrega.
So I think one of the experiences out of the game drives that you can do, the safaris, is an experience of walking through the village of Jamtara. And one of the most unique
Yes.
things I remember seeing are these corn husks, sort of upside down on the awning of all the houses. I think they were being put there to dry, perhaps. That was quite an interesting
Yes.
feature while we walked around, which I had not actually seen anywhere else in India.
Yes, that's the way they dry the corn, because they need to remove the grains from that.
Right.
And that's a very unique here in central India. I have seen that
Yeah.
immediately after, and that way they also make sure that the rodents and any other animals, or even if they put it down on the ground, it may get infested.
Sure,
That's
sure.
a safer way.
So apart from the village walk, are there other things that you can do in Jamtara, from Jamtara?
Yes, we have a couple of other activities, like bicycle ride is there. If someone is really keen in doing birding or want to stretch their legs, want to walk in the forest, there are a couple of nature trails around the lodge where we take them. Of course, we also take a guide with us.
Yes.
So we take them, we do the birding. When you walk in the forest, you can scan the forest from a close angle. You know, you don't cover larger distance, but definitely you get to see the forest from a close quarter. So it's fun seeing the indirect evidences in form of the scats or pellets or the scrap markings, and then relate with the previous night's alarm calls, or maybe some activity that has happened in the recent past.
Right.
That kind of stories you can do. Then village walk, the culture walk is also there. Cooking demos are there, and close by about 3 kilometers distance we have a bat colony. So we suggest our guests that if they are interested, we can definitely take them to the bat colony, where by evening, if you go there, then you definitely get to see. It's fairly large number of bats are located there.
Right.
You can see them doing their activity, and just in the evening, when it's about to get dark, they start taking off. So that's a sight watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's quite a, because they are in large numbers and they fly so fast. It's quite a
Yes.
quite a spectacle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mela, you can say,
So one of the things I heard about the nalas that you were speaking about, the dry stream beds, I think you referred to them as highways for animal movement.
Yes.
That was quite an interesting phrase. So what have you seen in the nalas? Typically in the morning, do you or the naturalists go out and see what has been spotted or what has been roaming around the camp?
See, quite many times we have seen the tracks of leopard, we have seen the tiger, sambar, gorge, spotted deer. Then also we have seen the sloth bear tracks also.
Okay.
See, why I call them highways? All these stream beds are like highways because wild animals, they never walk randomly.
Okay.
They will always choose a path which is well beaten, which has been well traversed by the animals, and where they can see what's lying ahead if there is any possible danger. They need to be curious about. They need to be careful about that.
Right.
And that's why they use these open, and they also have these tall, big Arjun trees which are pale whitish in color.
Right.
So they can use these trees for the claw markings also.
Right.
And that's why they use these nalas quite often. And every day it's a regular activity. Once all the guests they have departed to the for the drive, whoever is leaving behind, either the naturalist or the security guard, they will have a round of entire nala and they will see what has come and gone, and then they will report. So accordingly, then we will see what needs to be done.
Okay,
And if required, those prints are safeguarded, and once the guests are back, then we show them that. See who came and visited you last night when you were in deep sleep.
Okay. There's a very famous tigress in Pench. Would you like to tell us her story?
Yeah, Colorwali, that's her nickname.
Colorwali.
Colorwali has been there for last almost 14 and a half years. And she is one of the most sorted tigress in the Pench National Park, I would say. And she also holds the world record of producing maximum number of cubs in the wild.
Yeah.
Currently, she is having her 8th litter, where she has produced about 29 total number of cubs.
It's impressive, 8 litters.
8 litters, and 2005 when she was born, and since then. And other excellent feature about her is that she has been holding the very core of the park, the Alikatta area, which is the heart of the park, where there is good amount of water, there is excellent prey base and very high level of protection. She has managed to hold that area for nearly about 10 years, you can say, which I would say for a tigress, it's great achievement.
Yes.
But wilderness, nothing comes free. You need to struggle. There will be pressure from all the angles.
Right.
Other tigresses, everyone would like to have that kind of kingdom, no?
Yeah.
So, but despite all these things, despite all these odd figures, she has managed to keep that territory and the herd bed. And her contribution to the park is immense. Whoever comes there, he just wants to see the Colorwali tiger.
It's like, having a star performer or something like that, like a star star resident, rather than. I don't think there are many questions. Typically, by this time in the conversation, we have some questions. There's only one that I can see so far, where a lady called Shivani is asking, are there any local elements that have been incorporated into the camp design?
I'd like to know what exactly she wants, local elements. What?
In terms of tiles, perhaps. I know that the camp is largely African in its design, But whether you've used any local products. One of the things that you said that you've used is the wood, which you've got from shipyards, etc. And I know that you have custom made furnishings in the room, the pillow covers, etc., designed with this beautiful tiger, design emblem.
Right.
So are there other things like that?
No, most of the material I'm telling you has been sourced either from Jabalpur or Satna or from the nearby cities.
Yeah.
And the very construction of the building, or you can say, it's based on the local theme only.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
In construction, we may not be able to say, but the cuisine, if you say, it's all local cuisine that we serve.
Okay.
So local element, if you talk, then in food component, yes, we have picked up quite many local dishes, and mostly the food that is served is Indian cuisine based on the local themes,
right,
based on the locally sourced ingredients.
So the other question is about the jeeps, the safaris, which is. You use the forest department jeeps, or do they have their own with the in-house naturalists? I can tell you for sure that they have their own jeeps, and they have an excellent team of naturalists as well. So Neil, please tell us about your naturalists.
We do have 2 jeeps of our own in the lodge. In fact, we wanted to buy more jeeps, but then the forest department said that you don't buy the jeeps, let that work be done by the local people. And as and when you need, you hire rigs. So good enough. I mean, if that can boost the economy of local people, we don't have any objection. So we as of now, we have 2 vehicles for the lodge, and we have 4 naturalists, including myself, for the lodge. One of the naturalists, Ajay Bhaure, he hails from the village called Turia, which is on the other side of the park.
Yeah.
He's an excellent guide. I mean, he initially started his career as a park guide, but then he got his training from the top, and then he picked up his skills, and now he's an excellent guide. He has earned a lot of accolades from different guests. Very good spotter. He has got very good knowledge about the trees also. The other naturalist is Alvin D'Souza, who actually hails from Goa, but now Goa is his second home. His first home is MP, because in MP last 19-20 years he has been working.
Yeah.
He used to work earlier in Bandhavgarh, but then he got relocated to Pench with me. And again, an excellent naturalist we have. Third naturalist is Dheeraj. Dheeraj, he hails from a small village from Gondia district. And but for last 8-9 years, he was involved in the King Cobra research station based at Agumbe National Park.
Okay.
Again, he has got very in-depth knowledge of wildlife, and he is also quite keen researcher. He has been doing his small researches on the lapwings, and he's been quite interested in the snakes also.
Okay. So then, if you have naturalists that have different interests, then they can cater to clients' individual interests as well. So that, it makes it interesting from that perspective.
And we also make sure that in the evening, whether it's my guest or your guest, whoever's guest is there, all of us, we sit there and we chat with the guest. So it doesn't really matter who's driving which guest.
And I think some great conversation is had because at these these evenings when you're discussing over drinks, because people share their experiences not only of the national park that they're in, but other parks in the country and over the world for that matter. And then it fosters an interest in wildlife and a genuine perhaps sharing of passion of the Friends of the Forest to bring our title back in.
That's the advantage of working in wildlife tourism and be at a place like Jamtara, where you get to meet people from across the world, and very well traveled. People have been to different continents, they have been to different wildlife reserves, and when they share their experience, when they come to India, they have very keen interest. They have their list of questions ready. It's not only about the tiger, it's not only about the Pench National Park. they might be interested in knowing different aspects about the wildlife conservation that's going on in India. So it's a great opportunity to talk to them, and whatever I have learned in last 15, 20 years, I like to share with them, and I do that as and when I get opportunity. So in a way, it's a great platform to work with.
Absolutely, and I think for you, you've been on the side of being an academic and a researcher, and now you get to sort of interface with the direct customer, so to speak. And as Shobha was rightly mentioning in our previous session, it's very important the role that a visitor plays in a national park. They are also part of the process of the conservation. So it's important to bring all of the stakeholders in that sense.
Yes, certainly. Now, since I consider myself very lucky because I could enjoy the three sides of the wilderness, and I can confidently tell you that every side thinks that they are the best. Academicians think that we are bringing out so much of information, so without us it cannot be done. Conservationists say we are the best, and of course, travel industry is a travel industry. So it's always nice to give the right perspective about the picture of what's going on, because when people come here, they might have heard one side. So when that happens, they are quite puzzled, or they might be a little confused. So when you give them the second side also, or the third side also,
right,
they get to know the clear picture.
No, absolutely, and I think it's that bringing people into the forest, sort of encouraging them, sharing your own passions about that. That's what helps us spread the word, and then that's what helps keep our animals safe at the end of the day. I have somebody called Parul saying that she remembers going on a safari with you where you saw some amazing birds, including a massive eagle. I don't know how long ago this was, but thank you, Parul, for sharing that. We have a number of people saying hello, sir, to you, and nice to see you there as well. Neil, it has been lovely chatting with you. I want to thank you for your time. Jamtara is definitely one of our favorite properties in the rare wildlife portfolio. Of course, one cannot end a session without making reference to the Sankla family and their contribution to Indian wildlife at large. Amit, his father, the grandfather, they are all so very, very well known in this realm. So thank you once again, everybody, for listening in. We hope you found it interesting. We hope that you will join us in our next session, which is about the Bori Sanctuary Lodge, also in central India, where we will be talking to Ali Rashid in just about half an hour. So we hope to see you there. Thank you again, Neil, and thank you everyone for attending.
See you all soon.
Bye.